There, here we go. From nice girl to winning woman. This is what I wanted to share with you today. Today, I'm going live on LinkedIn and also on Twitter Space to share some of my latest finding. How do we best negotiate? How do we best move our careers ahead, especially for women in senior positions and leadership roles? So I've been observing some of those successful women in their roles. Some of them will come to me and tell me, I'm happy. I've got everything I want, the team, the salary, the freedom, but I just feel it's not exactly enough or not exactly what I want. It's There's something missing. I'd like to have more respect, credibility, more options, more access to roles that are usually reserved for their male counterpart. And this is for people who want to take it one step further, who are already pushing themselves in their careers, in their lives, and are just, a few miles away, not too far away from achieving the real success that they desire in their careers. And those are people who are happily employed, women who are visible, but who aren't able to call the shots as much as they would like to. Women who have good jobs, have good salaries, but want more. So I started to see a common thread between these women that would come to me and ask for help, and I would help them in different ways. But I don't want to talk too much about my products, but I wanted to talk about a few steps that I see are working in achieving this ultimate success, which is becoming this winning woman at work, this winning woman in building relationships and developing business and acquiring clients, accounts, you name it. So I read this book called Nice Girls Don't Get the Corner Office, and it got me thinking about principles that we can set in motion in order to protect our career and have a bit more longevity, profitability, sustainability. All of that needs to happen to us as well, and not only the firms that we work for. So, without further ado, I'm going to tell you a little bit about these principles. There are 7 of them that I was able to list here. So, bear with me, please. Here we go. So, here, it's not only this book that has inspired me to write or to put this together. There are other influences here, but so there's 7 principles, and I'll quickly go over them. First, there's going to be self-awareness, and this is probably the number one. And I see this a lot when I talk to hiring managers, when I look at job descriptions. Self-awareness is one of the key elements that will separate good from bad candidates. This person is not self-aware. They're not aware of their place, of the salary that they deserve, or the title, the skills they have. They don't understand the challenges we are facing. They're not aware of their surroundings or aware of themselves, or both. So self-awareness is going to be one. There's going to be self-love, self-care, or self-preservation, if you want to call it that way. It's not uncommon to see women putting other people first in their careers, in their lives, in their community. And there's an element of taking back that power that is theirs, that really needs to take place. And that's something I've been noticing. It's definitely a trend. So I want to point this out together with self-discipline, because it's also somehow a form of giving ourselves the respect and the care that we deserve. And it comes in a format of, yes, painful, everyday tasks or duties or habits that we have to do in order to become the leader that we want to be. There's going to be resistance when this happens, and one of the principles and one of the, I think, key aspect of this is to not run away from conflict, but really expect it to happen. Expect the no, plan for it, know it's going to be coming your way. And frankly speaking, if you're having a lot of pushbacks, you're on the right path. So we're going to look at that. Insist with your ask is another thing that very few of us will do. And I mean, women, we take no's way too seriously. And I heard once, and you probably already heard that too, a no is a maybe is a yes is a yes. Although no means no and yes means yes, I believe that there's a lot we can do to achieve what we want from people, if only we were to stick with our position a little longer. There's a risk of being disliked here. Of course, we're not going to remain in the pleasing seat as we move up the career ladder. This is unfortunately going to happen as you grow. You're going to say a lot more no's. You're going to be disliked more more than you are now. But there are some advantages to that, and we'll look at this. And then finally, being true to our values, which sounds a little bit cliche, but I've seen people compromise their values for short-term gains, and it just delays their careers, and also will be I wouldn't say a deal breaker, but it's definitely going to slow down the growth. It's not a sustainable path to be on. Oh, they're giving me a big salary and a nice office, but no team. Okay, well, you're not going to be able to develop management skills and be the leader you want to be. So don't take it. So anyways, we'll go step by step, and we'll look at all of these principles together. And yeah, I would love for you to participate. If you have any questions or remarks, please interrupt. So when it comes to self-awareness, there's an interesting quadrant, and maybe you don't see it because it's a bit small here, but self-awareness can be external, like how people perceive you, what they say you are, and what you think you are. Right? So these are two different angles or axes, if you want to call it that way. So you could be really high on knowing who you are. I'm very clear on my skills, on my strength. I did all the personality tests. I took all of the coaching, and I know who I am. I know what I bring to the table. That's great. But no one else knows. You don't ask for feedback. You're not actively looking to challenge people's view or search for blind spots. So you know where you stand, but your team, your peers are not really clear on what's your value, what do you bring to the table. And this is a matter, I think, of personal branding, of course, but we call these people introspective. I think this will limit success for their careers when they are the best kept secret, right? Highly self-aware, but not externally so. Then you have seekers. These are people who don't yet really know who they are, what they bring to the table. Nobody else does know who they are, what they bring to the table, and it's very frustrating to be in that position. um, so that's really, yeah, that's probably the least power you'll ever have, right? Not understanding what you stand for, what your strengths are, what you can achieve, and it's very frustrating for everybody around you as well, not just yourself. So these are the seekers. You're going to have the pleasers, and I think I was once a pleaser, and I'm recovering from that. That's someone who is not so well aware of what their strengths are, their potential, their capacity, but other people around them are very clear about it because, they receive good feedback, but they don't necessarily see themselves that way. So over time, they will make choices that will not help them succeed in their careers, because they're doubting themselves a lot. Other people don't. They're really clear on how good they are, but they don't see that. Oh, really? You think I'm great? Really? You think I'm that, helpful or whatever it is? I don't want you to be too helpful though, or bright, or assertive. These are better adjectives for the winning women that we're building over here. That's a category that is pretty common, and I see that this can be limiting. And then you have the aware. So they know who they are, they know what they want to accomplish, and they also seek out people's opinion. They're quite comfortable with getting constructive feedback from people so that they can realize their best self and benefit from that self-awareness. They almost even actively seek it. But be careful, of course. You're not going to seek feedback from everyone and anyone. You're going to do that strategically, hopefully. So this is the self-awareness sort of dilemma. That's something for you to meditate on. Now, let's go to the next slide, where we talk about self-love or self-care. It may sound a little bit cheesy, but there's got to be an element of that in your equation as you grow your career. Self-protection, preservation. So there's several angles that we have to add to this. One is mental health, where you're going to be stable. You're going to ideally drop the addictions of anything, substance, people, places, things, so that you're more in charge, more consistent. Your power will grow exponentially as you are able to exert this power over yourself. I think mental health is big time a priority. The ability to handle stress, how you handle it. I don't know if you meditate, I don't know if you run, but you're going to have to find an outlet in order to stay sane consistently. And that's going to be a deal breaker if you don't. Self-acceptance. So dropping the perfectionism here, I see this as a big barrier to access, because again, I'm not here to compare men and women. I know, women can are proven to have a lot more soft skills than men. But one thing women do that men don't really worry so much about is this need to be perfect. A job well done is a job well done. It doesn't have to be a job perfectly done. You waste a lot of energy and time there, and the competition is going to take over if that's the way you want to keep advancing in your career. You're going to have to delegate. You're going to have to, find peace with not being perfect, not doing it all, and especially not doing it all on your own. Some of us struggle with that. And then boundaries, that's definitely key. I think we don't take as much as we give, and this is something to be really mindful of. Boundaries have to be set early in any relationship, really, at the very early stage of establishing a new connection, a new work relationship or personal relationship. This is how far you can push me. Beyond that, I'll have to politely, leave or ask you to leave. Make that really clear from the start, and don't be, I would say, too. If you wait too long to set those boundaries, this is how I work. This is how I want to be partnering with you. This is what I expect of you. Setting expectations, I think, is also associated with those boundaries, because people will push you and they'll try. And if you take it once, twice, then you're going to have to take it forever. There's a way back from that. We can talk about this further. Self-care, I mean, that's it seems obvious, but not everybody manages to take, their lunch break. I don't say you have to take it every day, and I'm realistic, right? I know it's not always possible. I, for example, don't have breakfast every day. I'm actually never really focusing on breakfast because I don't have the time in the morning. But I choose to work out in the morning, and that's my meditation. That's my stress release. That's my cry for help. That's also my sleep well, therapy. So I'm going to have to make time for me. I put it in the calendar because I honor everything in my calendar. So if it's there, I'll do it. Work out, eat well, sleep well. It's obvious, but not everybody is able to keep up with that. If you're not able to give yourself the basics to function, you're just not going to be of much use to any team, any company at all. You're going to have to operate from a full cup because there's going to be so much thrown at you the higher up you go in the hierarchy. This has to be in place. Inner voice. So I know that a lot of us, how we speak to ourselves is so despicable that if we spoke like this to others, we wouldn't have any friend or relationship or partners or peers, because women can be so mean to themselves and how they expect enormously. And a lot of people will have this in top leadership. I've seen this a lot, where they have a lot of expectations, they hold themselves to such high standards, but they don't apply that to others. So how about we start to be more even and more equal in that, and a bit more consistent? What I expect of me, I should also be able to expect it of others. Now, it's not always possible, and you have to put this into context, but I just want you to think about how you talk about yourself. And it can be small things. Be aware of it at least. Oh my God, I'm so stupid, I forgot my keys. Why do you have to call yourself stupid? Just say, oh my God, I forgot my keys. I'm going to go get them. That's it. Don't bash yourself for no reason. Don't even bash yourself for a good reason, honestly, because it's an opening for others to do the same. And then self-discovery, if you go through a breakup, if you go through a moment where you're going to change, be it company or supplier, client, you're going to breakups. I mean, divorces are really cruel when it comes to, well, I didn't even like to go, golfing, but I did it because he liked it. So we're going to have to rethink, what do I even like? Do I even like this? Do I even want to dress like that? Do I even want to eat this? Do I even want to be here? Do I like this sport? discover what is it that you like, because if you're not grounded in what you value and like and enjoy doing, and I mean, this could be hobbies, but this could also be, larger than just hobbies. Again, it's a matter of self-discovery, self-awareness, self-knowledge. If you can't know yourself, you can talk about yourself. And as you grow your career, you're going to have to promote yourself more and more. So these are some interesting foundations to be mindful of. Then the next one is going to be self-discipline. And it's a form of self-love to some extent. Because if I'm honest with myself, like, I deserve to be peaceful. So I'm going to make time to meditate. I deserve to be learning. So I'm going to make time for reading or audiobooking in my case. I deserve to be fit. So I'm going to make time for sport. I deserve to eat well. So I'm going to make time for cooking. All of that is me. Yes, I deserve. Well, you do. Because if you don't do it for yourself, nobody's going to say, hey, you should take a break, go outside. I mean, maybe some managers will do that, but this is not common. You're going to have to look out for yourself. And self-discipline is hard because we don't want to wake up at 5 a.m. and go for a run. And then, I know it's exhausting, but at the same time, it's a really great way to respect yourself and impose that respect on others. You're going to teach people how to talk to you, how to deal with you, how to pay you, how to, handle you. But you're going to have to do it for yourself first. So one is pretty simple. I think it's simple, but it really helped me coming back after a throwback. Let's say you want to stop smoking, you want to stop drinking, you want to stop whatever it is you want to stop. And you do it really well for a month, and then you have a glass of wine. Don't go with that. Oh, well, I had a glass, I'll have the bottle. It's fine. Whatever. Have the glass and recognize that, oh my God, I stepped out. I have a goal. Let me get back to it. Stop at the one glass or at the, half a glass, whatever it takes, and then go back into it. Go back into your alcohol-free, goal that you've set for yourself. Honor that. So don't let the throwback throw it all away. It's okay. I had a moment of weakness. I'm right back into it. Right? Because if you don't do that, then you're gonna have the full bottle. Whatever. I'm in it. I'll just do it. That's not great. That's also, I plan, so I've stopped drinking because I have to prepare for a full marathon and I can't do both. So now I'm planning for my fake beers. When I go out with friends, I'll make sure to book, at a bar where I can have mocktails, or I'll take my, alcohol-free beers with me to the beach. I'll never be short of an option because I've planned for that option to come along with me. Otherwise, I'm setting myself up for failure. I started to become more comfortable with pain. Of course, training for a full marathon makes you go to places you don't want to go. But being comfortable with pain, and this is what I mean by that. Don't resist the pain, because the pain will come. Anticipate that it will come and be ready for it, And this is like, I can think of an example of, like, for young parents who have to wake up early because the kids are up at 5 and that's it. The more I resisted that early start of my day, the more painful it was. The minute I embraced it and planned for it and expected it and was, I'm going to be in bed at 9 because 5 a.m. is my start because my kid is up at 5. So the minute you start to factor it into your life, you're going to be able to hack your brain for the uncomfort of that painful start. or a painful, yeah, early start. Having said that, now I can operate on less sleep because my kid is, he was training me for that for many years, and I thank him almost for that reason. I'm now quite happy to wake up early and get started. So give yourself a set date. What does that mean? That means I'm gonna wait until July, and if nothing happens, if I don't get the promotion, if I don't get the scholarship, if I don't get, the job, then I'm gonna shift the strategy, radical shift, ideally. No plan B, more like a radical, complete 180-degree shift where I'm gonna move. I'm gonna change industry. I'm gonna change city, country. Honor that kind of commitment, because this is the best way to push yourself to do things that you don't want to do. Set a timeline, set a date by when it has to happen, and if nothing happens until then, I'm going to stop pushing the same button and I'm going to go for another option. I think that has always been a I think that's a good strategy to follow. It keeps you safe. Now, the next slide is about resistance, and I'm going to tell you what I mean by this. A lot of people don't want to be seen as, pushovers, or too masculine, or too, entitled, expecting more than I should get. I should be happy with what I already have. I don't need to be so greedy, but when it comes to selling you, there will be moments where you will find people are not excited about you, right? They don't want you in that position, in that team, in that role, in that company. So, and that, I'm not talking about rejection, I'm talking about resistance. Okay, so if you get fired, that's a rejection. If you don't get the job and you fail at the interview, that's a rejection. And by the way, rejection is protection. Resistance is when people are giving you mixed signals. Okay, so and by the way, when you encounter resistance, they're not shutting down the door or like closing all communication channels. They are still rather open, but not keen on your idea. I see this as an indication that you are on the right path. A pushback is an invitation to play, but you cannot take a pushback too seriously. You cannot be too discouraged, or take it for face value, as in, that's it, I'm out. I can't deal with this resistance, right? Because that's what a lot of us do. Oh, they don't want it. Okay, fine. I'm not going to push it. If they don't want it, then they don't want it, right? If they don't see the value, then forget about it. Yes and no. It's your job to communicate the value well. I think when I have experienced scenarios, either with me, my clients, I've been in positions where I state my insatisfaction. I explain why this is not going to be ideal for me. And even if it's met with silence, or even if people are not going to act upon it, but my saying it, stating it, matters. Why? Because this is going to stay, and maybe it's not going to be resolved right away, but I want you to know that I'm unhappy about not getting this promotion. I believe I deserve this promotion. I don't understand what led you to not give me this promotion. And I will continue on the path of, pursuing this, because I believe I'm the right candidate, or I'm the right fit, I'm the right talent, I have the right skills. Don't say that you understand their decision, because you don't have to validate their decisions, especially if they are more senior than you. But I think it's important that you, when you're met with resistance, if you're not able to turn things around, because that would be another course about negotiation, techniques. But here we're talking about when you feel people are resisting you, you're onto something. Stay the course. Don't escape that uncomfortable seat. And if you have the guts, please state your insatisfaction with whatever decision is being made. I know you might not be able to change it, but it's important that you be vocal about your insatisfaction. This is not okay. I don't like this. I'm not, satisfied with this decision. I want you to know that. That's it. Whoever it is. I think this has power. Insist with your ask is the next concept. And I think a lot of us underestimate the power of insistence. And I said, if you insist, usually they won't resist. Just for you to remember it, I think it's a good catch phrase. It's an easy one to remember. But also, a fire started with, a stick and an insisting hand rubbing that stick until the fire sparked and became, a wildfire. That insisting is, I think it has an element of perseverance, or like pure stubbornness at times. Insisting with your client, your I don't know, for what you think is right, your boss, your peers, your vendors, as long as it's not going to delay work in a massive way. Insisting, especially when you don't have an answer, if you get a no. I mean, some people might argue no is a maybe, but if you get a hard no, I don't. It doesn't mean that I'm not going to respect people's wishes, right? I'm not disrespectful, but I don't take no's too seriously. I think about it during the day, but the next day I'm back on track again, trying to revert that into a yes. And many of us fail to understand that a no is not a wall. It's just a word. And people change their minds. People are, so emotional and so unstable and unpredictable. And feelings are guiding them, especially when it comes to sales. It's not really rational most of the time. Decisions are often made without much, it's not always data driven. And even when it is, data can be biased, right? So think about this, because you might be missing opportunities with your very polite, oh, well, they said no, I'm not going to insist. Well, maybe you should. So the next thing I wanted to add is, it's going to hurt the pleasers. It's risking to be disliked. Risk being disliked. This is so hard because we want to be liked. We want to be popular. We want to be friendly. We want to be seamless, right? Frictionless. It should be easy and light around me. People should feel at home and understood. And I'm not going to ask for any special provisions. I'm not going to be the gluten-free person, right? I'll just eat what's on the table. But quite frankly, I've seen people hire and even marry for no good reason. It's not because, and by the way, insisting has a lot to do with it. it's not because they were the brightest or the best or the most beautiful or the kindest. It's usually because, oh, taking the example of my mother, if you ask her why she married my father, it will be he was tall and he had curly hair and he was a musician, and that started the but of course they learned to like each other afterwards, right? But I mean, that kind of started her interest. That was the spark, right? If you ask people why they get hired, they have, of course, selection processes to follow, and a lot of time they are serious, but a lot of time they're biased. And it's a matter of personality match, preference. Ask people, do the work. I mean, ask people around you, why did you get hired? Like, what made you get the job? What made you get married to this person? Why did you decide to make that choice? And it's not always for a very valid, deep, well thought reason. Now, what does it have to do with risk being disliked? What I'm trying to say is, you being liked is not doing you that many favors. If only decisions were made in a consistent and in a data-driven, in a reliable way, then yes, I mean, being liked would have been the key element here, like being trusted or being respected. But being liked, I think it's overrated. And I think that people who get promoted, people who get, the job or get the wife or the husband or the promotion or the house with the view, they're not always the most liked. But I think there's an element of being, strategic, but we can talk about this on a different training. Personal branding does go a long way here, by the way. If you look at CEOs and world leaders, by the way, if you look at their profile pictures, if you Google them, some of them are going to be quite very dominant, and you're not going to see too many smiles. They're going to be interrupting other people. They're going to be quite vocal about their opinions without always being mindful of the likability factor, right? So you want to grow in your senior career, ladies, you have to risk being disliked. And you're not going to lose much by doing this. Honestly, you're only going to gain more authority, credibility. Now, the last principle is being true to your values. I know this sounds cliche, but honestly, many of us have failed at that. We know we need flexible, work-life balance. Like, I want to be working from home. But then we get a great offer and the salary is exciting, and we cave in, or I want to be a leader of people, a manager of other managers. I want to be a director. And then we take on a director role that has no team, but it has, a great office with a great view and a great salary. With no team, there is no influence, there is no power, and there's no other way around this, right? There is no building management skills either. We are, for example, invited to interview in industries we don't believe in, be it, I don't know, tobacco, for example. Oh, well, but the team is great, the salary is fantastic, I'll take it. I've seen a lot of people compromise their values, but it just doesn't go the distance. It's going to be a 2-year thing max, and then you're back to square zero. and you're going to be the one quitting. You're going to be the one running away, and no one is going to understand the reasoning behind, because you seem to have it all, but you're dropping everything and running without even having another job to run to, because you've been stretching yourself so far away from what you believe to be true that is just not sustainable. You can't fake it for so long. And this is also a recipe for burnout, bore outs, and all types of different stress related diseases or addictions, right? I think one of the things we can use here is, and I used to be very much focused on gaining power, control, but how about we think about replacing power over others with power over ourselves? Being true to ourselves, to our principles, to our values is so much more sustainable, is a better career choice every time. So if you're not sure about your values, we can do a values, assessment. If you're not sure about your strength and how, what are your special powers, we can also help you there with personality assessment. But this is something that I think is important to point out. Maybe some of this is obvious to you, and less obvious to others. But I wanted to share this today so that we can start this more thoughtful and I would say sincere, deep conversation with ourselves. I don't think this is something people usually associate with career development. Self-love, self-care, self-discipline, being true to your values, risk being disliked, insisting until you get what you want, and expecting conflict, expecting resistance, and preparing for it, planning for it. All of these concepts, I think, are crucial, especially for women in the workplace. If you want to drop the nice girl, helpful, supportive, taking on more and more responsibility, but not having a team to delegate anything to, you're not setting yourself up for the winning women that you must be in your second career, the second half of your career, at least, after you reach your, I guess you're probably around 40 or 50. You don't have to put an age on it, but that's my my take on this today for you. And here's the QR code. You can reach out, you can schedule time with me, and we can assess your needs and take it from there. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, send them here. Otherwise, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. And I'm also present on all the other social media platforms.